Hi everyone, just before we start, we're going to wait a minute or two for everyone to join us, and then Hillary will get started with us, okay?
Thank you. Okay, folks, we're just going to wait a couple more minutes because I can still see people joining. So just bear with us and we'll get started in a few minutes, okay? Okay, folks, I think we're almost ready to go now. Okay, so I'd like to welcome you all to this webinar about our honours degree in interaction and user experience design. So I'm just going to get started, and I'm going to talk you through the program. I'm going to talk you through what IDT is like and explain what interaction and user experience design is. Then more details about the program of study, the types of subjects and modules we'll be studying. Casper, who's with me here, he's going to talk about the student experience, and then we'll talk about job opportunities and how you can apply. So just quickly to introduce ourselves, my name is Hillary Kenna and I am the program chair of the course. I lecture in the areas of visual and user experience design. My background is originally I'm a graphic designer. I used to run the degree program in visual communication, and then but my specialty is designing for the screen. So Casper, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. So basically, I'm a first-year student at Interaction and User Experience Design. So it's a brand new course, which was really exciting to kind of, get involved with. And I'm also a student ambassador for this course, so that's the reason why I'm here actually on the open day. So I'm getting involved with loads of different things around IDT as well, which is great fun. Even though everything was online this year, or almost everything was online this year so far, it's been an amazing journey so far. So really glad to be here.
Okay, and folks, just to say, there's a lots of other lecturers involved in the program. All of us come from different backgrounds. So we have, as I say, my background is originally graphic design, but I've always worked in the area of user interface design. Other areas of specialism for me would be typography and data visualization and information design. But we also have programmers, psychologists, artists, 3D model makers also teaching on the program. So it's a real varied mix, and all of us have quite a lot of industry experience as well. And there's also a number of visiting lecturers that come in from industry. Okay, so just tell you a little bit about the college before I go in to the detail of the program. IDT is about 2,500 full-time students, and then we have another 1,000 part-time students. Overall, there's about 200 full-time academic staff, so the ratio between staff to student is very good. It's roughly about 1 to 19. So, lecturers really get to know you individually, get to know your name. The classes are small, And there's an excellent mix of gender balance and diversity in the programs. There are 2 faculties in the college. So this course is based in the Faculty of Film, Art and Creative Technologies, and we have a whole range of undergraduate level 8 degrees in lots of different subjects. You can see them there on the screen. So everything from applied psychology, you know, to music, to film and television, photography, model making, and then our newest program, which is this program, which is interaction and user experience design. You know, the other faculty we have is business and humanities, and it's also worth pointing out that we have quite a lot of opportunities for crossovers between the programs and the faculty. So it's a very interdisciplinary environment that you'll be coming into. Typical sort of the physical environments of the college are quite lively. Lots of studios where you'll see a lot of practical work being made, physical work made in studios, drawings, painting, sculpting, printing, you know, collage, photography, drawing, all kinds of things. So, you know, typically you'll see all kinds of things happening around the college. This would be quite typical of a studio, that the type of studios that we would have, which would be a combination of digital, you know, media and also desk-based work. So again, cutting, pasting, 3D, making physical prototypes with paper and card, but also using digital technologies. So again, that would be kind of very typical. And you know, the type of studio culture that we have, you know, we sit down with students, you would work, as I said, at desks, pin things on walls, have discussions, presentations, so it's very, very practice-based. So just a little bit about UX and user experience design. I suppose it's worth saying that the reason the course came about is because we already ran a number of postgraduate programs in this area, and they've been very, very successful, and there's been a huge demand in industry for graduates of these programs. So having done some market research, there's a really big demand for undergraduates in this area as well. So yeah, so we've won quite a lot of awards, including, you know, the the Grand Prix Education Award at the UX Awards in 2019. We also won Postgrad of the Year course for Design and Innovation for our UX Masters course. And more recently then, one of our students, Vicky Anderson, she won the award for the Best Universal Design project at the Universal Design Student Awards. So we've quite a lot of, I would say, experience, and I would say that the standard of the educational courses we run in this area is really second to none. It's world class. Our graduates as well, as I say, they're in much demand. And just to give you an idea, we have quite a lot of links with industry. So for our postgraduate programs, we've found that there's been an awful lot of companies send their employees to us to study in the area of user experience and interaction design. And then we've also found that a lot of our graduates are getting jobs, and that's just a flavor of some of the companies and organizations that are hiring interaction and user experience designers. And it's fair to say that at this stage, you know, they're being employed everywhere. So it's not just in the tech industry. And I'll talk more about that later as we go along. Okay, so let's talk about the undergraduate degree then in interaction and user experience design. So I think it's fair to say some people might say, including, you know, maybe parents, mums and dads, you know, friends, family, even some teachers may ask, what is interaction and user experience design? And in fact, we did struggle with the name for the program, but really when you boil it down, you'll know what it is. It's basically the design of experiences all around you. And what they are, well, they include a lot of the digital experiences that really mediate our daily lives. So if you think of absolutely anything you do now, you'll probably likely find that there's an app or there's some type of digital interaction, whether you're watching television or whether you're buying something. Even if you're going for a run, you might be tracking your steps or your progress, you know, communicating with friends, playing computer games, you know, and even now within the kind of confines and the restrictions of COVID, you'll find that we're more and more dependent on technology in our daily lives. So this program is about designing these experiences that we have with technology, and in particularly designing the front user interface that the audience interacts with, okay? But it's not just these digital experiences, it's also kind of physical experiences that we have with objects and how technology works with them. And then also kind of, I suppose, the services that we use and how, again, technology interfaces with the real world. So it's about designing the whole experience. So for example, if you take something like traveling, which we're all dying to do again, when please, hopefully when the vaccine takes foothold, maybe next year. But if you imagine booking a flight, you will do that maybe on your phone or on your desktop, and that is a whole experience that has been designed by an interaction or user experience designer. If you also think about the experience of going through the airport and using your phone at different stages, maybe to scan your boarding card, that's also been designed by an interaction or user experience designer. And even the experience of going through, you know, security, how that's all laid out, the steps, the stages, you know, the feedback that you get, again, all designed by an interaction user experience design, using things like other aspects like service design, okay? Even physical objects, so again, you know, things like wearables, where we have, you know, any kind of technology that mediates real world or service experience. Again, a good example there is an MRI scanner, where children were afraid of the noise, and again, interaction and user experience designers painted it so it looked like an underwater submarine and created this world. So it's about making things easy and pleasurable for people to use, okay? So whether that's an app on your phone to order pizza, or whether it's, you know, your experience of healthcare, going to a hospital, the waiting experience, and then how you interact with those services. So it's all the time about making those experiences better for people. And again, if you think of something like Disney, well, that's the actual physical theme park has been designed by, you know, engineers and interaction user experience designers, but also getting around the park. So the app that you would use to book, you know, the rides that you want to use, and then things like the Disney Magic Band, which will track, you know, your payment so that you can just hold it up to, you know, if you go to a cafe, and it'll know exactly where you're going, it'll know what rides you're coming to. If you walk up to a screen, it has the information in there and it'll direct you to the next place you want to go. So effectively what we're saying is interaction and user experience designers design holistic experience, not just digital, but also in the physical world, which may be information, or it may be entertainment, it may be shopping, it may be communication. So it really spans all kinds of applications. And that's why there's such a demand for it. Okay, so let's talk about the different modules on the program and what kind of subjects you will study. So the first thing to say is it's a really interdisciplinary design degree. So design is at its core, but as I say, you're designing for all these types of different experiences, both digital, physical, and virtual. So there's quite a lot to learn over 4 years, okay? And I'm just going to take you through each of the years and give you a flavor of the kind of subjects that you will study. So it's a real blend of what I would say creative thinking, creative problem solving, visual, creative design and making, some digital media technologies and storytelling, bit of psychology, and then testing, you know, so there's quite a lot involved in terms of the subjects, and all of that is designed specifically for people, human-centered design. So as I say, making people's lives easier. So it's really very interesting in terms of the types of projects and subjects you'll be studying. There are 26 modules spread over the 4 years, and that totals 240 credits, okay? And each year you will achieve 60 credits, and it's level 8 honors degree. Okay, so in year one is all about basic principles. So Casper will tell you a little bit more about his experience on the program in a few moments. But in year one, basically you are going through a sequence of modules that introduce you to basic principles in different areas, okay? And it's really providing a transition from, you know, where you're at the moment. So whether you're coming from school or further education college, or whether you're even returning to education from the workplace, this first year program sequences a number of modules that introduces you to the basic principles of interaction and user experience design. And that would include things like graphic design and visual thinking, design thinking and problem solving. So you'll also learn, you know, composition, how to compose visuals, typography, color work. You learn about the basics of interaction design principles, how to design an app, how to understand audiences, how to research audiences and profile them, and how to design for their needs. And then all of that you will learn about, well, how do I communicate to people? So things like drawing and sketching your ideas, communicating through storyboards, and you know, basic prototyping. So again, you know, you will learn all of these things. So really in first year, you learn sort of, as I say, basic principles, but you also learn how to visualize your ideas and how to communicate them with others. So you learn visual skills and you learn those incrementally. So you learn, as I say, basic sketching, but moving up to getting more, I suppose, more real looking. So what we call more high fidelity. And then you'll move onto the computer and make the graphics. So you learn all those basics. And then complementing the program, you will also have a history of interaction design program. So you learn all about contemporary debates and designers and the kind of the best work out there. You'll also get an introduction to psychology and to the psychology of design, what makes audiences tick, the psychology of people's understanding, cognitive psychology, and also about gamification and game design and how that can be applied to interaction design in general. And then the last module you do will be on physical interaction, which looks at basic interactive kind of electronics and how we can make physical objects. And again, we can blend, you know, real world objects like boxes or physical prototypes with some digital. Casper, do you want to say anything about first year?
Yeah, actually, you know, I just realized recently that I'm almost halfway through it, and the amount of stuff that we did is outstanding. And it's been really, really interesting, like, you know, all the way throughout this. And just to kind of reiterate that point that you said about the transitional studies at the beginning. So like the first module we did, you know, we didn't even touch the computer for the first few days or a week almost, I remember. We were basically just drawing and like, you know, encouraged to just kind of let go and just continue with making more and more ideas as we went. And then we moved on to like visual basics and design thinking. So it was starting to be a bit more, you know, critical of your work. And then after that, we moved on to like digital stuff and then worrying about software. So for any of you listening to us today that are worried about not knowing how to use, let's say, Illustrator or something, there's really nothing to worry about. And you know, I also have classmates who never actually done art in secondary school, but they were great designers. They had great ideas, and they showed that in their portfolio, and they managed to get in. So you know, even doing art for Leaving Cert isn't necessarily a determining factor to get into year one.
Great, thank you, Casper. And we'll talk more, we'll talk a lot about how you apply and the kind of things that we're looking for. Okay, so I'm just going to move on to year two, and we'll also come back to that to talking about Casper had a great experience, a virtual Erasmus exchange experience before Christmas. So we organized as part of their elective that they had an exchange. They actually had an international experience with a Polish college, and they did a workshop with international lecturers for a week. So that was very exciting. So we'll talk more about that later too. Okay, so second year then, the theme really in second year is really about the application of these design principles to more complex design problems, and also to deal with kind of larger ideas around design. So it's really also important to say that interaction and user experience designers, you make a difference. As I say, you make people's lives easier, and the kind of things that you design, they do touch millions of people's lives, you know, so you're designing at scale. So for example, if you were designing something like a shopping app, so one of the projects that we did with students is a universal design project, which is about accessibility, and that's about designing things like apps or technologies or services to make them accessible to people who might have particular needs. So for example, visually impaired, people in wheelchairs, you know, elderly people. And actually this particular project there that's on the screen, the social shopper, it was designed for elderly shoppers, and that was a real project done in conjunction with SuperValue. So in this year, you know, you will learn things like universal design, which is all about inclusion and designing for diverse needs. You will learn about information design and data visualization. So again, we live in an age where data is collected on everybody. So understanding the complexities of data and how to make that simple and easy to use, and also you know, how to visualize it so we can make it useful in our lives. Another theme in second year is the introduction of sustainability. So again, environmental concerns and understanding, you know, where digital can play a part, where user experience can play a part in sustainability. We also introduce ethics, which is very important in anything to do with digital technologies and our experiences. So that's something that we also look at. And then the introduction of emerging technologies like virtual reality or augmented reality. So a lot of kind of ideas around design for society, design for the environment, design for accessibility. Those themes come up in second year, and as I say, you will apply the design principles to more complex problems and applications in second year. Okay, I should also say that while you get introduced to new technologies, there's never a worry about being able to use them, because there's a tremendous amount of support and teaching. And also this course is about design, it's not about programming. So we build prototypes that I suppose involve, they are simulation rather than the final thing. Okay, in year three then, we move into the area of preparing you for the workplace, really, for professional practice. And you will learn, so the year is kind of divided up into two, really. So you have a number of modules, and again, these would be things like usability and testing. So again, how to test your work and how to measure whether it's successful in the field. So testing out real users and being able to understand, you know, from a science point of view, how do you record all of that? We also study things like human emotions and pleasure, and how do we design for those areas? How do we tell stories? Product design. But half of, you'll spend one semester doing a work placement as well, so professional practice. And if you don't do a work placement, you will be working on live projects for industry and competitions, okay? So there's a real preparation here around doing design work for the real world. The other aspect that you will study in that same semester running in parallel will be an entrepreneurship and business module, which will give you the skills to think about, well, how do I, as a creative practitioner, maybe if I wanted to set up my own business, or I had an idea for my own app or my own product or my own service, how do I go about doing that? So it gives you those support skills, and it prepares you again with softer skills like interviewing. How do I interview? How do I present myself? How do I prepare a professional portfolio? So there's a lot of really, really, you know, high level skills that you learn. And then finally, you will prepare your kind of research proposal, because that moving into, so that the last part of third year is about preparing your own, trying to find your own research interest, which in fourth year will become your major research project. So I'll show you some examples here. On the screen, you're looking at storyboards for a watch app. So this watch app actually was done for the digital health area, and it was about somebody was tracking the kind of things that this user in question here was somebody suffering from MS, and the app was designed again with a lot of research, but it was designed to help somebody track their energy levels during the day and prepare things like food, going for a walk, figure out how they could work and have a quality of life. The other examples on the screen there is about an augmented reality magazine experience. So again, like a magazine or a newspaper, if you hold your phone over it, some of the images in the magazine will come to life with a video or sounds, or in this case with glasses. So you put the glasses on and you can see the augmented reality. Often students in third year will also develop product ideas. So here's a nice little idea here. This is a design thinking project, and it's based around the idea of tracking work-life balance. And the student prototyped a little life balancer, and this was really physical interaction. So this might be something you put up in your kitchen or in your room, and again, you can customize it based on the kind of, so it's really a visualization of what you do daily to see, have you got a work-life balance? So some of these represent family, some of them represent work, you know, and to see where your activity lies. Again, this would be typical of the kind of user research we do or customer research. So you would learn things like, you know, profiling a customer. So Patrick there in this case is profiled. And this project was a project looking at OnPost and seeing if you could come up with an innovation idea or app for OnPost. Again, there's a customer journey there. You can see a competitor analysis, empathy map. So these are all, and then these are all the types of kind of methods, I suppose, research methods that you would learn on the program. And then nice little example here. This is an app for, and again, it's just a mock-up prototype, but it's an app for the idea of a digital card that you could send, but it would be personalized. So you could take photos from your phone and you could upload them to this app and you could get them printed. You could fill in the address and it would actually be physically printed and posted from OnPost. So again, quite a nice blend of digital and real world design and technology. Okay, so in fourth year, it's very much a self-directed year where you get a chance to, you know, focus on an area, specialize in an area maybe of research that you're interested in. So you will do a major research project and you will write a dissertation or a thesis. You will also have professional studio for a semester, which again would be looking at kind of the future and really kind of thinking about future technologies and how we can design for those. And again, this is an area that's of huge interest to companies now as they try to, you know, come up with ideas for what's the next kind of generation technology or use that their audiences and customers might have. So there's an example there of a diving 2.0. So this is a smart diving mask with, again, augmented reality. So when the diver goes down, you can see that there's an information display that comes up on the mask. Another example there is a recycle tracker. And again, this is about tracking your personal recycling habits and changing those. Another example there is a smart home, which is an alarm system for older people. And again, just a visualization. And that came out of kind of a neighborhood watch idea. You can also see there's a little image of an iPad being held up above a painting on the wall. And that's, again, this idea of augmented reality. So you could have a still image on your wall, a bit like Harry Potter, but you hold up a digital device and it comes to life with animation and sound. So lots of kind of scope in fourth year to, as I say, find an area of interest and to maybe build on some of the skills that you've learned over the course of the project. So it's really about preparing, again, a major research project that will showcase your talent and your skills as you graduate. Okay, so we're just going to talk about the student experience and I'm going to hand you over to Casper. And as I say, we'll have some images in the background here that show you kind of what the college looks like when people are in there and it's not during COVID times. Okay.
All right, so I guess I'll talk a tiny bit maybe about how I got into the course, why I chose this particular course, and then I'll kind of give you the overview of the year so far. So I actually did both the portfolio and the project day just because I was really anxious to get in, but that was just me being over anxious because as it turns out later, people were really, really accommodating in IDT, and there's really if portfolio or a project day is like your main worry, you shouldn't be because they really are accommodating there, and if you have any questions, you can always give anyone in college a shout. So if you have any further questions after this talk, actually you can either email me or Hillary. So I'm sure that Hillary's email is on the website of the college, so that's another useful little info there for you.
You can post a question there as well and we'll be able to answer them. Yeah. So we will have a Q&A at the end.
Exactly. And then, so I'm going to move on to why I chose the course now. So basically, I remember hearing about this being a new undergrad course for the first time, and I was so excited that I literally put it in my CEO application straight away. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I really want to study this. And the main reasons were that it is a very wide course, as you actually just saw in the slides. So I'm a type of a person that really likes to study loads of different concepts and try out different things, and not necessarily become focused straight away like some other degrees might be structured that way. So I'm not really into very detailed one thing, but rather like trying loads and then focusing in detail on a few that really interest me. So that course, again, accommodates that. And then again, previous knowledge of software wasn't required, so it was really accessible to get into design without knowing massive amount about like, Figma or Illustrator or any other industry software. And then, the job opportunities as well were great. So, knowing that although this is a creative course, you're not bound to be a freelancer necessarily. You can work for a company, you can work for, public sector, private sector, even education. It's really exciting. So, I still have 3.5 years to decide what I really want to do after college. And, options are just open. And then also the timetable. So the way we have the course structured is we have 2 full days and 2 half days. So that gives you loads of like time to also work on your projects on top of your lectures. So you're not stuck in a lecture hall day in, day out for 4 or 5 days a week listening to presentations. And even when you're on campus, it's really hands-on, creative. You're doing stuff constantly, working with others, working with people from other courses. So it's really, really great. And then the final point, and I think this is one of the biggest ones, it's that you'll be like among the first 20 to 40 graduates when you graduate. So like you'll be second year. So there's 8 of us in first year. There probably will be more in second year. So, the industry is really keeping an eye out on that because we're the first ones to ever get that kind of a degree in Ireland, which is great. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about the course so far. So you've seen the list of the modules, which is pretty packed, but it really doesn't feel like it. So you can see the slide here now with a snapshot of work from the Erasmus project that we did. So that was working with the Polish Japanese Academy and then with students from Greece as well. So I actually, and within that, there was a choice of workshops to do. So I chose one that was called the Agitated Image. And basically, we had to go out into the public space, find some typography in there that inspired us, and then bring it back and work as a group of 3 or 4 people to kind of design our own typeface. So again, that's totally outside of the scope of this degree, but it was super exciting and really helped me to develop as a designer. And like, the main takeaway from this was that I got to work with people from 2 different countries across 3 time zones, and we still had to, manage ourselves and get the creative process going over Teams. I think we use Microsoft Teams, but it was a really great collaboration, and you can actually see some results here. I still hang them proudly on my wall because they just turned out so great. And I'm actually still in touch with my teammates, and we're doing more and more designs. So if you're into networking and working with loads and loads of people on different things, this course is really for you. And actually, we're continuing this module now with an elective. So I believe either in year 1 or 2, you'll be able to choose a course or like a module out of another course. So it can be anything that interests you. And we had a amazing choice this year. And I landed on generative design. So that means using coding and computers to generate art. But like I've never did coding like before. So again, that was really great from IDT that I was able to do that course. And then the module itself is made in a way as to like allow us to learn how to code while like we learn how to make art, and it's just great. So I'm halfway through that module and I'm actually coding by now, which is amazing. So again, that shouldn't be stopping you from getting into that course. And then about some modules we've done so far. So just so you can see again, different things this year were covered. So we did the design thinking and visual basics. So I talked a bit about that. So that was like the first intro to working with composition, line, different graphical elements, and then a slow intro to Illustrator. Then we did history of interaction design. So that provided context for the scope of the whole course, as well as gave us a bit more theory as well as practical things to learn. And then we did user research and user experience design module, in which we actually had to conduct interviews with real people. So we had to find someone to interview, and let's say I was redesigning an IKEA app, so I had to find people that shop at IKEA, talk to them, be like, okay, what are your pain points? What do you enjoy? What would you change? And it was a massive thing that it was great to do. And then at the end, we ended up with a prototype of a refreshed or redesigned app for IKEA. So, even in year one, you could really touch what you were learning. So I was learning about redesigning an app while actually redesigning the app. So it's not just like listening to the basic principles for a year, it's a great hands-on year. And then lastly, I just started psychology in interaction design and user experience design, which is again totally different area, and it's super interesting. And I'm really looking forward to how that develops over the next, I think, 8 weeks or so. So, it's been halfway through the first year, but it's been so amazing, and I cannot recommend this enough. If you're ever so slightly interested in interaction design, you should definitely do the course. And yeah, I think that's everything from me now. And if you have any questions, just remember to pop them in the chat there.
Okay, great. Thank you, Casper. I just also to say there, Casper mentioned this project here and with the Polish students. So again, obviously the COVID restrictions, but we do have Erasmus exchange. We have a number of partners in Germany, Poland, Spain, different places around Europe. We also have a relationship with Canada. So there's lots of opportunity, but we also, so for example, I've lectured in Germany and in Poland, so we also do lecturing exchanges. So you may have a lecture come over from a different country, and equally then you may go over and do that. And we do these joint workshops as well, where you'll be working with students in other countries. So it's quite exciting. Okay, so again, just to talk a little more about the graduate opportunities, because I do think it's important, and I know it's a big, big factor when people are filling out a CAO, and particularly in the areas of art and design. Sometimes, parents can be quite nervous about maybe their son or daughter going to study an art and design course and thinking, oh, what are the job prospects? Well, I'm happy to say certainly within interaction and user experience design, it's a very future-facing and current discipline, and basically, as far as we can see, it's only on the increase. And the reason being, as I say, if you think about every single experience you have in your daily life is being mediated through interactivity, through phones, watches, wearables. We're moving into an era where we're going to have smart objects in our houses. We already can talk to our Google Assistant or Alexa. You can already say, turn on my TV, dim the lights, So we're moving into a world that is increasingly going to need user experience and interaction designers, and it's touching every area, whether, as I say, it's banking or entertainment or game playing or publishing. So our students are getting jobs in all of these areas, and they're creative jobs, they're interesting jobs, and they're about designing for people. So it's about, as I said, making a difference to people's lives. So at the end of this program, it is most definitely our hope that you will get an interesting job in a growing field. And as Casper says, you'll be among the first graduates with an undergraduate degree in this area. So it's really, really exciting. You'll have a great mix of skills, both in art, design and technology. And most importantly, you'll have skills that won't go out of date, because you will be a critical thinker, you'll be a problem solver, and you'll be creative, and you'll have that confidence to transfer those skills. So it doesn't matter whether the technology is changing with every year, as it no doubt will, but the core fundamental principles of design and research and prototyping and creative ideas and problem solving, all of those are what you're going to learn in a lot of detail and with a lot of application and a lot of confidence on this program. And you will get to meet a lot of people, not just the people on your program, but as I say, people in other courses. You'll have the opportunity to mix with people who are studying film, animation, computing, and do joint projects with them vis-a-vis electives, and also in other countries. So you'll really have an interdisciplinary experience. Okay, and just the types of jobs then. Well, as I say, interaction and user experience designers, they're in high demand. They're in many sectors. And typically, the type of work you'll be doing, you'll work in a team. So user experience interaction design is usually part of an interdisciplinary team that will involve things like, business, sales, maybe finance, maybe technology and engineering, software development. So again, you know, this will continue into the workplace, the type of teamwork and interdisciplinary experience you'll have. And again, if you want to yourselves afterwards, maybe go on to some of the job sites, Indeed or, you know, irishjobs.ie, and do a search for UX design or UX designer, and you'll see that there's quite a lot that comes up there. So again, there's lots of roles, and again, people, you know, can segue into different types of flavors of interaction and user experience design. So you might be a service designer, you might be a product designer, a visual designer, a game designer, you know, you might move into the area of research maybe, or business analyst. So there's lots of different avenues depending on what you choose to focus on. Okay, so how do you apply then? Well, we have two kind of routes of application, I suppose, but the main thing to understand is we do look for a portfolio or some practical evidence of your design work and your interest in design. So you need to apply via the CAO, and it's really, really important that you put the course down. So even if you haven't decided on the order, if you're applying for other art and design courses, it's really important that you put the course down, because any portfolio course, any course that requires portfolio, I think they're termed restricted entry on the CAO. In case you're wondering what that means, that's what it means. But basically, any course that requires a portfolio, you must put it down on the CAO form the first time. So while you can change your mind, and there's a late change of mind in June and so on, you can't change the courses that you've put down, you can change the order. So it's really, really important that you put the course down the first time on your CA on one of those 10 slots, okay? Hopefully it'll be the first slot, but it's very important that you put it down, okay? So the deadline is the 1st of February. And our portfolio deadline is the 18th of March, okay? So you need to submit your portfolio to us by the 18th of March, and we have a digital platform where you will upload your digital portfolio. So you take photographs of your work, or you might send PDFs or whatever, and you'll upload them onto our digital platform. So again, you don't have to lug your portfolio in person, but I'll explain more about that. Now, if you don't have a portfolio, and a lot of people maybe who are in school, they, as Casper said, they might have only realized when they've done aptitude tests that, you know, hey, I'm really good at spatial relations, or I'm really good at, you know, creativity and, you know, problem solving, but I didn't do art in my Leaving Cert, and, you know, I haven't got a portfolio. Well, what we would say to you is we're trying to make you know, our entry requirements as accessible as possible. So one of the things we've designed last year is a virtual project day. Okay, and if you haven't looked already, and I'll go through this now in a couple of minutes, we released an IEDT project day brief. Okay, so the brief went up, I think, either late December or early January, and that asks you to do a project, to start a project at home, okay, yourselves. And then we run virtual project days, so you then join us in February, where you continue to work on that, okay, and we work with you online on your project, and the deadline for that is the 19th of February, okay. So the portfolio or the project day, you can score a maximum of 600 points, okay? And then that's combined with, say, your Leaving Cert points, or if you're a mature student, your RPL, your prior learning score, okay? And you'll find out more detail about that from admissions. Okay, so just talk a little bit about portfolios and what we look for. So really, your portfolio is it's a collection of work that showcases your interests, okay, your ability. We're looking for people who are curious, who are creative, but really we're looking for ideas and how they maybe document those ideas or visualize those ideas. We also look for selected themes, so you don't have to send every drawing you did since you were 12 years old. We look for you to send your most recent work, and maybe to curate your work or to gather your work around kind of ideas that are important to you. To tell it should tell us a story about who you are and show us your enthusiasm for art and design. So some tips just about putting the portfolio together. Make sure that you're organized, okay, and that it's selective. So again, even if you're submitting it digitally, you know, naming the files when you submit them and clearly presenting them, labeling them, or if it's unfinished work that's work in progress, you know, showing that this is work in progress, and then there's a finished piece that goes at the end of that sequence. Of course, large work is photographs, and of course you can include any work you did in school or your own work. Okay, so the main things, as I said, we're looking for is that you demonstrate your ideas, your inventiveness, your thinking skills, as well as your visual skills. And you can include, again, sketchbooks, and this would mean you'd have to photograph your sketchbooks. So again, you open them page by page and you take photographs of them. And then also your CV, which gives us an idea of your general interests. We like to see a portfolio that demonstrates the following. So visual skill, obviously. So we want to see that, you know, you're happy. And again, visual skills is not about being brilliant at drawing. It's about being able to communicate your ideas visually. Okay. So don't be afraid to sketch, you know, and to notate and to annotate, you know, so it's about, and diagrams. It's about communicating your ideas visually. And again, creatively. So show us you think outside the box. Show us that you're self-motivated. So you've done this work and it's an extra effort, and we're very well aware that you've made that extra effort to make work outside of what you're doing on a daily basis, whether that's, you know, in school studying really hard for your leaving cert, or whether, you know, you're working or doing another course. So, you know, we understand that. So whatever you make shows us that you're self-motivated. And also show us, you know, don't be afraid to experiment and try out different things. Okay, so again, taking risks, don't be afraid of failure and to say, you know, did this drawing, you know, but it didn't work, and you can annotate your own critique on it and then show how you changed it and so on. So technical ability is important, but it's trumped by the creative streak, and that's something to know. And the same goes, so even though we use a lot of technology in this program, we are not looking for a technology portfolio. We're not looking for software skills. That's not what we want to see. So what do we want to see? So we want to see that you're curious about objects, about places, about spaces. So again, you know, drawings of your own environment, even a little corner of your house, and, you know, maybe annotating what's interesting, looking at the textures, how the light hits it, you know, the shapes, the forms that are there, you know, observational drawings. So things that how you look at the world, you know, so even if you're out and about walking during COVID, you know, with your phone, taking some photographs of the things that you see, that shows us that you're looking, and it shows us, you know, you're looking at different things. So again, I would say not any photograph, but take some considered time if you see something interesting to photograph. If you're interested in making three-dimensional work, again, show us that, but photograph it well. So photograph the whole thing, photograph close-ups, etc. Notebooks and sketchbooks, I've spoken about that. What is the point of a notebook and a sketchbook? A notebook and a sketchbook is really showing us your research and how you've followed through on an idea. So, you know, the sequence of those pages shows us how you're developing a concept, how you're looking at things. Other ideas we really love to see, things like, you know, diagrams, maps, timelines, anything that shows us that you're interested in maybe exploring how things work, you know, or communicating to others how things work, or, you know, instructions, anything like that. The same with storyboards, you know, a sequence of pictures or images that show how people use things, or, you know, a story about something. So again, it's all the time communicating. Photographs, prints, if you've done any print work, and again, you can include digital work if you have some, or any group work. But just again, if you include group work, just explain what your role was on the team. Okay, so the virtual project day, the brief has been released. The next slide I'm going to show you after this is the brief, and I'll talk through that. So you have some example, you know, you have some idea about what we're looking for. So the project days are going to be held during the midterm break on February 15th, 16th, and 17th, and there is a timetable on the brief, which I'll talk about in a moment. But basically, it's a one day. I think it starts at 10 and it goes on till about 4, and it's broken down into a sequence of 4 exercises. So we'll give you a little intro, and then we set you little tasks to do, and you'll be online with the lecturer, and there'll be lots of different lectures, and there'll be different activities. So the one we had last year, for example, there was drawing activity, and then there was a 3D activity. So again, it'll be something similar. Okay. After you've completed your project day work, you can finish it off and upload it on the 19th. And again, that's via the portfolio platform. Okay, you will get a score based on the project day within 2 to 3 weeks. And it may be, for example, say you could score up to a maximum of 600. So if you did get 600 on your project day, you might say, fantastic, I don't need to do the portfolio. But say you got 300, you might say, right, well, I think I need to do the portfolio as well. But the thing is, you can include your project day work in the portfolio, and you could extend it if you like. So again, the project day might become the basis for your portfolio, which you could then extend and continue to work on and then submit as part of your portfolio. Okay, so you can also, as Casper said, he did both. So you can also do both if you want to, because you won't know your final score until you combine it with your Leaving Cert if you're doing your Leaving Cert. Okay. Okay, so then just to talk about the project brief. Now you can download that, as I say, it's on our website, and all the details are there. And the most important thing is you must have a CAO number, so you must be registered in order to register for project day. So that's very important. So you won't be able to register for the project day until you have your CAO number. So just remember that. You can download the brief. So the brief has 3 themes. The first theme is homes and the environment. So again, these are very broad themes, and you can choose to focus on whatever you wish. So you could interpret home as in your own personal home, or your local community, or the city or the countryside where you come from, or even an area that is home to a particular person or people that you are interested in, or even you could consider the idea of home within the natural environment. And again, the different types of habitats maybe, or animals or environments. So again, it's very broad in terms of home, what you consider. Okay. Another theme you might choose is identities, and then again, this is, you know, can be thought of in so many different ways. So what is an identity, and again, how you interpret that, you know, whether it's cultural or social, physical, behavioral, you know, how visually could you maybe explore the concept of identity, or how do we identify identity and what it means? And again, language, nationality, family, friends, clothing, adornment, you know, interests, you know, tribes, anything like that you can think about. Third theme then is light, space, time. And again, this is more, I suppose, more abstract, a little bit more experimental, to think about those as natural phenomena, but you could make them realistic. So while they might seemingly be a wide open, you might think about, well, how might I apply that? I could look at that in the context of, you know, my own home or street or a sport. You could apply it to anything, or you could just explore the scientific phenomena of it. So again, it's wide open for you to explore. We've suggested some formats, and again, so these are the formats for you to work on at home. And then, as I say, we will give you exercises when you come to work with us online. So we are suggesting you submit 2 of the following formats, and again, these really cover a multitude of our programs. So again, you know, all of our programs are interested in, I suppose, what these formats can capture. So an A1 sheet is like a poster. It's a large format, but you can fold it, cut it, score it. You can do whatever you like. But if you think about it as a broadsheet, so you have an opportunity to work on both sides. You might have small pieces of information or research on it, and then you might have one large piece on the front, or you can divide it up into panels. You can work with that however you like. A box, again, you have all the sides. You can you know, cut it. You can, you know, have things inside it. You can work on the surface, on the inside. And again, it's 3-dimensional. You can do whatever you would like, but that's your starting point. The same thing as the booklet. So this is A2 folded. So again, it's really 8 pages. And again, it's up to you. If you think about that as a sequence or a narrative, it's up to you how you want to explore your theme over that. You could include an animated GIF or a meme, again, a little mini kind of film, anything if you wanted to combine, you know, again, it could be handmade things with, you know, real world video or animation, and again, anything at all. You can add sound. So again, if you're interested in multimedia, or you're very good at experimenting, you might be constantly making memes and things for your Instagram account or TikTok or whatever. Again, we want to see what you can do. So again, another option. A photo book. So again, if you were somebody who's really, really keen on photography as a way of visualizing your ideas, again, show us, make a little photo book around some of those themes. And again, annotate your photographs. So tell us what your intention is. Some of the photographs might be, you know, research photographs leading up to a final photograph, or if you're quite experienced with digital, maybe you can combine photographs, or you can do collages. So again, it's just another medium to work with. And then the storyboard is a sequence of visual panels with text explaining kind of a story, and often might have a character or a situation, a scenario. So again, we're suggesting that, these are maybe outcomes you might have from your project, but remember, like, supporting any of those final formats would be your research. So would be your notebooks, or however you do your research. It could be a slide presentation. So whatever way you do your research. Okay, and then just to say that, as I say, the deadline is the 19th of February. You can upload your project work to idt-portfolio.awardsplatform.com, and that's on the website. The link will be there when you register. You'll receive your score within 2 to 3 weeks. There's an outline timetable there which gives you an idea of what you do on project day. So again, this is like a virtual day online. Now it's unfortunate because last year we ran it on campus, and it's great. You come into the college and you get to basically be at art college for a day, be in a studio environment and work with fellow students and work with IDT lecturers, and it's really like a rehearsal of what it feels like to go to college. At IDT, you get a tour of the campus, as I say. So it's unfortunate we can't do that this year due to COVID, but we're giving you hopefully the opportunity to have an online virtual class with a range of different lecturers. Okay, and then just some prompts there around the kind of tasks of how you might explore the theme or the subject. So we've just given you some ideas there. So the main thing to consider is that you're going to visually explore and investigate your chosen theme. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it means that you're going to go through a process where you develop and communicate your ideas through sketches, mock-ups, visual studies, experiments. Okay, so you're really looking at a theme and you're exploring that visually through materials, through photographs, through drawings, through making, through little animation on your phone, however you want to do it, but you'll have to do research. So again, what is research? Well, you have to go off and find out about the theme if you choose it, and then find out, well, what's interesting to me about this, or what inspirational things, do I know anybody else who's done something inspirational, or artists? How can I draw inspiration? So what research do you do? Document it. You could observe, sketch, draw, record, photograph examples of your theme in different forms. You could tell a story about it, and again, using pictures and words to map out, explain something in a sequence of steps. So that's what storytelling and storyboards are really good for. Also things like change it, so if you have an idea or you make something, how might you change it then? Can you modify it, dissect it, cut it, break it, disrupt it? Again, these are tactics you could do visually. So you might come out with something unexpected. So again, just prompts to ask yourself, if I make a piece of work, well, how could I change it up to see, can I get more out of this idea? And don't be afraid to express your opinion or your viewpoint on a theme or an aspect of it. So again, that's something that we love to see with students coming in, that they have a sense of authorship. They've something to say. They want to communicate, because that's what art and design is about. It's about storytelling. It's about designing for other people. So we love to see that. Predict. You might think about the future of your chosen theme. What would it look like in 10, 20, 50 years, so that enables you to kind of be speculative and go a bit wild in terms of your thinking. And then when in doubt, maybe you could just scale it up, make it bigger. So again, these are just prompts to give you some ideas, as I say, to to get your creative thinking flowing, and just to do some brainstorming. And again, I say brainstorm with your friends, family, anybody, because that's what happens in studio, in college, and in real life, in work. You will typically work with the team. So don't be afraid to brainstorm your theme with others. Okay, so folks, I think that's kind of it. If you have any questions, I can't hear you, unfortunately. So if you have a question, pop it in the chat, and we will answer. And yeah, so as I say, and don't forget to download the brief. Otherwise, thank you for listening. And yeah, if you have any questions, as I say, we will. I'm going to share my email as well. And Casper, if you want to share our emails there in the chat, that would be great.
Sure.
And yeah, Casper, if I missed anything, just remind me. But I hope we've given you a flavor of the program.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I think one more thing about the project day and portfolios is that if you do both, we count your better score. So like, let's say you got like 400 in your project day and then 600 in your portfolio. We will then count the portfolio and your Leaving Cert points. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. You can do both, and one doesn't affect the other necessarily. So and both the portfolio and the project days are scored out of 600 points, so they carry equal weights. So
Yeah,
I'm just gonna pop the emails now in the chat.
great. Yeah. Okay, so there was just that question there about the how many points are counted for the portfolio. So as Casper said, it's 600, and it's the same for the project day. So you can get up to a maximum of 600 for the project day as well.
Okay.
Okay. There's a spotlight session on Wednesday, the 27th at 5 p.m. On portfolio specifically. So if anybody is interested in that, that's on there. So that's another thing you might want to note. Okay, folks. I don't see any other questions coming through there as yet. So if yeah, as I say, I'm putting my email. I just realized I sent it to the organizers only, so I'm putting my email in the.
I think I sent it already. Let me just check. I just capitalized your name and surname, but I think that's the way it displays for me within college.
Well, I've
so
sent it.
just
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, anyway, so look, folks, our emails are there, and if you have any questions at all, do get in contact. We really hope you'll consider doing the program, because it is really quite exciting, and yeah, we think we're trailblazing. So it'd be great if you could join us. And as I say, don't forget to download the project brief. We have the portfolio session next week on the 27th, so register for that. And yeah, register for the project days as well. So even if you're doing a portfolio, I'd recommend doing the project day too, because it's a great experience and you'll have something extra to put in your portfolio.
Definitely. It's a win-win if you do both, honestly. Someone was just saying thank you there through the questions. Very smart. So thanks for showing up. Thank you for listening.
You're very welcome. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you very much, folks. And yeah, good luck. Good luck with the Leaving Cert, and good luck with whatever you're up to, and hopefully we'll see you in IADT. Okay, goodbye.
See you.